Imagine a single beam of light entering a prism. As it passes through, it transforms into a radiant flow of colors, each line representing energy dispersing, reshaping, and giving life. This is radiant flow, a vision of how thermodynamics governs the shape of ecosystems. Just as light bends and spreads, energy in nature flows, transforms, and structures the world around us. What you see here is not just physics, it's an architectural view of life itself, showing how the invisible laws of energy create the visible patterns of forests, rivers, and communities. Welcome to the story of energy transformation in nature. Think of an ecosystem as an energetic engine, just like a machine. It takes in fuel, does work, and releases heat. The fuel here is radiation, energy from the sun entering Earth as heat and light. Most of it passes through, but a small fraction is captured. That fraction builds biomass, sustains life, and drives the work of nature. Forests growing, rivers flowing, animals thriving. But energy doesn't stay locked in. As organisms live and breathe, as ecosystem function, heat is constantly released back into the atmosphere. This is metabolic heat dissipation, the invisible radiation leaving Earth's surface every moment. The importance of this flow is huge. It reminds us that ecosystems are open systems. They absorb, transform, and release energy. Without this balance, life could not exist. So when we see nature, we're not just looking at trees, rivers, or animals. We're witnessing a grand energetic engine at work, powered by the sun, sustained by transformation, and balanced by release. Inside every ecosystem, two powerful systems run side by side: energy flow and matter cycling. Energy flows like a river, continuous, one way, and always moving forward. It begins with the sun, travels through plants and animals, and eventually fades away as heat. Because it's unidirectional, ecosystems constantly need new energy input. Without the sun, life would stop. Matter, on the other hand, tells a different story. It doesn't disappear, it cycles. The same atoms of carbon, nitrogen, and water move through plants, animals, soil, and air, endlessly recycled by decomposers. Matter is conserved between organisms and the environment, keeping the system alive. The key takeaway is simple but profound. Energy flows through ecosystems, while matter cycles within them. One is a straight path, the other a circle. Together, they form the heartbeat of nature, fueling life, sustaining balance, and remaining us that every leaf, every breath, every drop of water is part of this grand cycle. In biology, there's a universal rule book, and it's written in the language of physics. The first law tells us energy cannot be created or destroyed, only transformed. In ecosystem. This means life doesn't magically produce energy. It simply captures sunlight and transforms it into chemical bonds through photosynthesis. Plants are the gatekeepers, turning solar radiation into biomass, the foundation of food webs. But the second law reminds us of entropy. Every energy exchange increases disorder. No transfer is ever 100% efficient. As organisms grow, move, and breathe, energy is constantly downgraded, released as heat through metabolism and respiration. The importance of these laws is profound. They explain why ecosystems depend on the sun, why energy is always limited, and why balance is fragile. Conservation and entropy are not just abstract physics, they are the invisible forces shaping forests, oceans, and every living system. This is the universal rulebook governing biology: energy conserved, energy transformed, and energy lost. The laws of thermodynamics are the laws of life itself. At the heart of biology lies the first law of thermodynamics, the law of conservation of energy. The sun sends radiant energy to Earth, streaming down as light. Plants act as biological transducers, capturing that light through photosynthesis. In this transformation, solar energy becomes chemical energy stored in organic biomass, the food and fuel of life. But here's the key: the total amount of energy never changes. It isn't created, it isn't destroyed. It only shifts form from sunlight to sugars, from radiation to living matter. Energy is conserved. This principle is more than physics. It's the foundation of ecosystems. It explains why plants are the starting point of food chains, why solar energy sustains every living system, and why conservation is the rule that governs life itself. The first law dictates conservation. Energy flows into nature, transforms within it, and continues its journey, unchanged in quantity but forever reshaped in form. In every food chain, energy is passed from one organism to the next, producers to consumers, plants to animals. But here's the truth: the transfer is never perfect. As energy moves, a large portion is lost. Movement, respiration, metabolism. All of these processes release heat back into the environment. What looks like smooth flow is actually a leaky system. The second law of thermodynamics called this entropy, the inevitable loss of usable energy. And in ecosystems, it's dramatic. At each link in the food chain, 80 to 90% of energy is dissipated as heat. Only a small fraction remains to fuel growth and survival. This inefficiency explains why food chains are short, why top predators are few, and why ecosystems depend so heavily on the constant input of solar energy. The lesson is clear. Energy transfer is powerful but fragile. Life thrives not because energy is endless, but because it is transformed, shared, and balanced, even as most of it slips away as heat. Every food chain is powered by energy, but with each transfer, there's a cost. It begins with the producers: grass, capturing sunlight, storing it as biomass. A grasshopper eats the grass, but most of that energy fuels its hops, its breathing, its life processes, and much of it escapes as heat. Then, a frog consumes the grasshopper. Again, more energy is lost to metabolism, to movement, to the invisible radiation of life. Finally, a snake eats the frog, carrying the chain forward. But by now, only a fraction of the original solar energy remains. This is the heat tax of the food chain. With every step, energy is downgraded from a structured, useful form into dispersed heat. It explains why ecosystems can support endless layers of predators, why energy pyramids narrow at the top, and why the sun constant input is essential. The lesson is profound. Life is built on transformation, but every transfer comes with loss. Energy fuels survival, yet entropy ensures that no exchange is ever free. The sun showers Earth with an abundance of energy, hundreds of thousands of kilocalories per square meter each year, but ecosystems can only capture a tiny fraction of that gift. Plants, through photosynthesis, transform sunlight into biomass. Yet, even here, most of the energy slips away. From gross production to net production, the numbers shrink dramatically, and by the time energy reaches the insects, only a minuscule fraction remains. This is the massive initial tax on solar energy. Despite the sun's abundance, ecosystems live in scarcity. Energy is filtered, transformed, and reduced at every step, leaving only a small portion to sustain life. The importance of this truth is profound. It explains why ecosystems are limited, why food chains are short, and why every calorie of captured sunlight is precious. Life thrives not because energy is endless, but because it is carefully conserved, transformed, and shared across the web of nature. Nature has a shape, and physics dictates it. At the base of every ecosystem are the producers, plants, algae, and other organisms that captures abundant energy from the sun. They form the wide foundation supporting all life above them. Next comes the herbivores and primary carnivores. Here, energy begins to decline. With every transfer, nearly 90% is lost as heat. Only a fraction remains to fuel growth and survival. At the very top stand the predators, few in numbers. They are supported by the narrow stream of energy that survives the climb. This is why energy pyramids are already upright. Thermodynamics prevents them from being inverted. The laws of physics shape the laws of life, ensuring that abundance lies at the bottom, scarcity at the top, and balance in between. The pyramid is more than a diagram. It is the architecture of ecosystems, the blueprint of survival, and the reminder that every level depends on the sun's gift of energy. At first glance, it seems simple. Each organism becomes food for another, and the chain could go on forever. But physics says otherwise. With every step in the food chain, usable energy is stripped away. Thermodynamics decay ensures that by the time energy reaches the fourth or fifth link, it has been reduced in both quantity and quality. What remains is too little to sustain another level. That's why food chains are short. Producers feed herbivores. Herbivores feed carnivores. And only a few top predators stand at the end. Beyond that, the chain runs out of power. This limit is not a weakness, it's a law of nature. It explains why ecosystems are structured the way they are, why balance depends on the sun's constant input, and why every transfer of energy is precious. The truth is clear. Food chains are bounded by thermodynamics. Energy flows, life thrives, but the chain cannot stretch endlessly. Nature itself sets the limit. The way we eat is shaped not just by culture, but by physics. When humans eat plants directly, energy flows in a straight line from the sun to plants to us. This pathway is highly efficient. The energy captured by photosynthesis becomes food almost immediately, fueling billions of lives. But when we eat meat, the pathway changes. Energy first flows into plants, then into animals, and only then to humans. At each step, massive amounts of energy are lost as heat through metabolism and respiration. By the time it reaches our plate, only a fraction of the original solar energy remains. This is the thermodynamic truth. Eating meat is an inefficient way of tapping into photosynthetic production. The second law of thermodynamics guarantees that every transfer comes with loss. The importance of this principle is profound. It explains why plant based diets can feed more people, why agriculture is bound by energy limits, and why sustainability depends on how we choose to eat. In the end, our food system is not just biology, it's physics. And the laws of thermodynamics remind us that every bite carries an energetic cost. Life runs on a universal ledger, an account written not by humans but by physics. At its origin is the sun. A continuous input of energy is required to keep the system alive. Without it, the ledger collapses and life halts. Matter, however, tells a different story. It cycles endlessly: water, carbon, nitrogen, moving through plants, animals, and soil, recycled again and again by decomposers. Nothing is lost, only transformed. Energy, in contrast, flows one way. It enters, it fuels, and escapes. At every step, entropy takes its tax, degrading energy into less useful forms until it finally dissipates as heat. This balance, energy flowing, matter cycling, is the choreography of biology. Every leaf, every breath, every heartbeat is part of this intricate dance. But beneath the beauty lies an unbreakable truth. The laws of thermodynamics govern it all. They are the invisible accountant of life, ensuring that nothing is free, nothing is wasted, and everything is bound by the physics of the universe. And so, we see the bigger picture. Ecosystems, food chains, and even human agriculture are all governed by the same unbreakable laws of thermodynamics. Energy flows, matter cycles, and entropy takes its tax, reminding us that life is both powerful and fragile, shaped by physics itself. If you found this lecture clear and insightful, don't forget to subscribe and support my channel, Learning Habits. Here you'll find concise and engaging educational lectures designed for students and lifelong learners, covering essential topics in science, environment, and technical skills to help you grow. Make sure to watch my other videos for more knowledge that connects the dots between nature, science, and everyday life. This is Learning Habits. Learn better, grow smarter.